just a white woman in a painting.
It's a white woman.
It's just a white woman.
Oh.
I mean,
Would it be
she's
better if it
Italian.
was a Chinese woman? I will skin my competition alive. Well, people say an orgasm is a little death, right? Isn't that a French phrase? If you were a Hindu, you would want to get right up to that icon and look it in the eyes. Well, good morning from not India, but from Paris, France. We're back in Western civilization for a little bit of time, and we are at one of the treasure houses of Western civilization. We're at the bloody Louvre. We're also joined by a very special guest today. This is young Edward Johnson.
Good morning.
Ed is, would you describe yourself as an art historian?
Well, I'm an urban architectural historian, but I dabble. I
dabble.
Try to do a bit of interdisciplinary work.
He's very modest. He more than dabbles. No, we're going to learn a lot from this man. Look where we are now.
Often people critique the integration of kind of a modern aesthetic with traditional buildings, right? That kind of dominates and controls it, where it seems to me that this one is generally accepted as a successful integration of the modern and the pre-modern.
Yes, although of course the pyramid is an ancient form. I mean, the idea of a pyramid made of glass is, I mean, on the face of it, slightly contradictory. You know, the most solid structure in the history of human architecture. I mean, right? The pyramid is the only wonder, only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still surviving, but also the oldest. But that's because it's made of stone, not glass. I don't think that's going to be standing in 5,000 years' time. Although you never know. You never bloody know, do you, Ed? Avancez. So this is what a really bad day at the office looks like. This guy, Marsyas, he challenged the god Apollo to playing the flute, and this guy said he was better than a god. That's not going to go well, is it? So Apollo had him skinned alive. Don't know if you can see the skin being peeled off here. No, maybe this is just pre-skinning. But yeah, there's a lesson there, I guess. You know, some people are so superb at something that it is folly or hubris to try and best them. I don't know if there's anything that no one should try and best me at. Probably not making YouTube videos, but who knows, maybe one day I will skin my competition alive. Again, intensely sexy. He kind of looks like he's having a good time. He's dying.
The dying slave.
Well, people say an orgasm is a little death, right? Isn't that a French phrase?
No, I think that there's something here, probably, certainly. There's a humanization of the slave, right? The kind of like the infusing of humanity into the slave, this moment of passing over, which suddenly kind of is, you breathe life into the stone in order to breathe life into the slave at the point of death, right? And there's kind of this emotional impact in which like a slave's life becomes existential in a way, right? In a way before slaves are kind of simply resources, material, which are moved, and suddenly we have now a slave as human, and maybe even as ideal human, as working along, like kind of fitting within the same models of humanity as the ancient Greek sculptures and gods, and is now we see them at the most emotional moment of one's life, which is one when passing over to death.
Do you know what that's making me think of? I mean, I think Ed has said something quite profound there, but it's making me think of The Dark Knight. So doesn't the Joker say, Heath Ledger's Joker, I mean, iconic performance, right? He gets a knife. He says, I like killing people with a knife because you get to see in their eyes them at their most alive. In that moment before you, I guess, do something horrible and slice them up, you kind of see their humanity and their personality, their individuality coming up to the surface.
You see, in their last moments, people show you who they really are. So, in a way, I knew your friends better than you ever did. Would you like to know which of them were cowards?
What is bizarre is you have to pay a deposit to get a wine glass.
Plastic cup.
A plastic cup. You know, initially it seemed like she thought the waitress that we were going to just drink out of the bottle. She didn't even offer us cups. So you paid a deposit, Ed, have you?
$4.
As Ed and I were enjoying our sandwiches and our glass of wine, we were pondering, why did we have to pay a deposit for these glasses? And Ed's a very clever young chap, and I think he's figured it out. So yeah, what's going on here, Ed?
Well, I think that essentially, well, my theory is, which Adam thinks is also correct, is essentially it's a way of monetizing the basic utensils, which would usually be given for free, right? Is that you make something a very cheap piece of plastic, a very cheap image on it, probably about what, 5p, 5 cents, whatever your currency is to make, and then you make people pay a €2 deposit, and then essentially either they give it back, and then that's not good for you, so you have to give it back. But generally, I think for most people, the answer would be they either just leave it behind because they're too lazy to get their deposit. It's only €2.
Yeah.
So you're making you're making a $1.95 profit, let's say, off that.
So they either forget that they've paid the deposit, or they go up to get the deposit back, and they're like, "Shit, I've not got that much time left in the Louvre. I'm just going to rush off without it." So yeah, as Ed says, we've monetized the utensils you eat with. You know, we're gonna have to pay a deposit for this fork. It's bollocks, isn't it? Sort it out, Louvre. Yeah, so here we have the image of the collector. In the 18th century, you would have people going off on the grand tour. So people visiting the great sites of Western art and architectural history in Rome, particularly in Italy, in Rome, in Venice, in Florence. And then people would start collecting things and bringing them back to their nice country houses, maybe somewhere like Somerset, and turning their house into a kind of museum or art gallery. So here are some chaps contemplating the arts, studying the arts, trying to reproduce it. And yeah, look, there you go, Piazza Navona in Rome. What else do we have? That looks like Piazza Michelangelo. There's of course St. Peter's Square. I saw the Trevi Fountain there. So yes, kind of treating the city as a museum, but then collecting things and bringing it back and turning your house into a museum. And you know, we still do it today. We like, you know, buying the odd object, maybe a little Tour Eiffel and putting it on the mantelpiece. Obviously hanging paintings on the wall, transforming your home into an art space. This is what's happening here on a really grand scale. Okay, so behind me we have a portrait by the great Raphael of a very interesting man, Baldassare Castiglione. Now, this man wrote a very famous book, Il Cortigiano, and it's basically a manual of courtly advice. How do you behave yourself at court? How do you impress people? How do you make friends and influence people? Castiglione has an amazing concept, sprezzatura, and it's basically how you can make yourself elegant, make yourself confident, how you can come across well and in a winning way, but it needs to be done in such a way that people don't see that you're putting in the effort. It has to be a kind of unstudied, natural easiness. And you can apply it to fashion, right? You need to not do your tie absolutely perfectly and fold your pocket square. You don't need to make your hair absolutely perfectly done in every way. But maybe you spend hours on that kind of ruffled, tousled look in your hair. But no one knows. No one knows. It looks like you just did that and got out of bed. You just threw on your clothes. It's that kind of elegance that seems effortless. Yeah, we're actually debating whether it's even worth getting through the scrum of people to the icon. I mean, it is making me think a bit about India, because when you go to a Hindu temple, the culmination often of the temple experience is to go up to the icon of whoever it may be. It might be Vishnu, it might be Shiva, it might be Ganesha, it might be Hanuman, and to look into the eyes of the icon. And that is the culmination of your spiritual experience at that temple. So if you were a Hindu, you would want to get right through these people. Hindus, Indians often don't have the same ideas of personal space that Westerners do. They would jostle through and they'll push through and they're much more touchy-feely. And you would want to get right up to that icon and look it in the eyes. There's no way you would leave without doing that.
The artist becomes God, right? That's what happens in the Renaissance, is the artist becomes the center of inspiration. And so this, the icon in India, in Christianity, holds a spark of divinity. Leonardo's personality now is the spark of divinity located in the artwork. And people come and they are saying, well, they assume to be nothing more than an imprint of Leonardo's personality, Leonardo's very being into the artwork. As once Christians would go and see icons as a channel to God.
But I do kind of want to go up to the icon and look her in the eye as close as I can. I think we should do it, Ed. I'm going to try and do it. Okay, Ed's not going to join me. You're giving up? Okay, yeah. I think I might. See you, cheers. I'm going to kind of try and edge my way a bit closer. Yeah, still a long way off.
I don't think you can go much further than this though, because look at the space between people in the painting.
Right.
Can barely make eye contact with her.
Right. And is this like, this must be bulletproof glass or some very heavy glass?
Yeah.
Have you seen her before or first time?
From afar. There's always like a lot of people. But it's just a white woman in a painting.
It's a white woman.
It's just a white woman.
Oh.
I mean,
would it be better if it was a Chinese woman?
But like, look at there. There's like 100 people in that painting. There's just another lady there. Like, the simplicity behind it.
Yes.
It's kind of overrated in my opinion.
Well, this is what I was trying to say. We've made it into an icon, so it's not really a painting anymore like these paintings. Even if you have a painting of the crucifixion, which is such an important image, as you say, this is just a piece of portraiture. But it's also not, because of all this. This is the interesting bit, I guess.
Because when you really look into it, it's a Da Vinci painting, of course. It's beautiful. But you made it.
We made it. We both made it. We all made it. Congratulations. All right. So I just don't have anything more to add really, apart from it's obviously a fantastic painting, but that's not really why we're here. We're here because as Ed said, Ed put it very well. We've invested this painting with something like the power of religion, the divine artist. We're here to kind of worship Leonardo, I think. Merci, monsieur. Merci, there she is. We've actually found it very hard to leave the Louvre. We're completely exhausted, just overwhelmed by the amount of culture. And as you're leaving, you're kind of funneled through a shopping mall. And I think unfortunately there's something in that we've come here and it's a feeding frenzy of art. We're just trying to consume all of this stuff. And kind of draw it in somehow. It's of course stuffed full of masterpieces, the Louvre, but it's just too much. It's like a really rich meal where all these wonderful dishes are there, but there's just too much, and after the 7th course you feel a bit sick. That's the most profound thing I've got to say here. But we're exiting not just through the gift shop, but through the shopping mall. So I've never tried this before. I'm going to try and split the G. So here we go.
Oh, let it settle. You're miles off. Miles off.
Needed to drink more.
Maybe we'll get another one, you can try again. Anyway.
Because that felt like quite a lot, but yeah. Alright.
Face of failure.
I'll try again.